Captain Jace Ryland stood at the shuttle window, watching the neutral mega station Sindar's crown grow against the black. The station's silver rings turned slowly, lit by calm blue beacons. Lesser person might have felt small. Only felt ready. He had flown combat missions, explored dead worlds, and stared down pirates. A spinning city did not scare him. He straightened the dark blue jacket of the Earth's diplomatic corps and tapped the tiny silver star on his collar. It meant trusted envoy, and it weighed more than armor. If he failed, war could start. Only 6 days earlier, a human freighter had exploded near Zarnothi space. Many blamed the Zarnothi. Zarnothi blamed a hidden human weapon. Fear sat behind every smile at the summit. The shuttle docked with a soft sigh. Doors opened. Warm, enriched air filled Jace's lungs. He lifted his bag and stepped onto the platform. Robots in gold trim guided him through customs while cameras tracked every move. Somewhere on Earth, a tense audience watched, was the first Earthborn. Captain Calm? Did he look afraid? He walked along a transparent tube, linking the docks to the Grand Hall. Around him, ships of 50 species gleamed. Tiny insectoid craft floated beside giant cubes flown by methane breathers. Sindar's crown called itself home to every mind. Right now, it felt like a powder keg. A thin chirp sounded in Jace's ear. "Spook here," whispered his AI. "Threat level high but stable. 120 life forms within 80 meters. 20 carry sidearms. No Zarnothi yet." "Then the real show hasn't started," Jace murmured. He entered the Grand Hall. The floor shone like black glass. The tall pillars climbed toward a ceiling painted with stars. Delegates formed. Clusters like separated chemicals, beautiful but volatile. A gentle chime announced him. "Captain Jace Ryland of Earth," a smooth, synthetic voice said. Some heads turned with curiosity. Others with dislike. He nodded to both. From the far side of the hall, a figure approached. Unlike the armored Zarnothi warriors shown on Earth News, this envoy was tall, slender, almost graceful. Pale violet skin, silver hair, eyes like blue ice. She wore a black mantle with thin white slashes of rank. She stopped 3 paces away, judging him like a blade. "Ambassador Vera Zarnothi Imperium," she said. "So, the humans send a soldier, not a diplomat." "Soldiers bleed when war starts," Jace replied. "We like to stop the bleeding early." Murmurs rippled nearby. Vera tilted her head. "How quaint." She leaned close. "You should be afraid, Captain." The words were calm, like a doctor naming a disease. Delegates fell silent. Jace allowed a half smile, tapped the coffee pot on his belt. "I say fear for days without caffeine." A chittering Valexian laughed. Verea's nostrils flared, a sign of irritation. She recovered. "Confidence is easy at the beginning of a game," she said. "Harder near the end." "I play to the buzzer," Jace answered. A hollow orb drifted between them, displaying summit protocols. "Ambassador, Captain, please proceed to Orientation Lounge," it chimed. Verea stepped aside, but kept her gaze locked on him. He felt her eyes like frost on his neck. Inside the lounge, soft seats ringed a circular table. Floating light spheres projected green valleys and calm seas and tempt to lower heart rates. Representatives from other factions filtered in, scaled Dracorians. Feathered ivory, crystalline loom. Everyone tried not to stare at the human in the Zarnothi sharing space. While he waited, Jace's fingers slipped into a pocket and touched a smooth white pebble. His younger sister had pressed it into his hand before launch. "Bring this rock back," she had said, "so I know you're safe." The pebble came from a beach in Mozambique, and tiny grains of earth sand still clung to its cracks. He rolled it between thumb and forefinger, and felt the weight of everyone who could not stand here themselves: the dock worker on Luna, the farmer on Mars, the child on a spinning habitat studying the stars through a duct-taped telescope. Jace placed his bag beside his chair. Spook whispered, "Zarnothi flagship Blade of Dawn docked 20 minutes ago. Fighter escorts carry anti-ship missiles." "Message received," Jace muttered. Ambassador Vera took the seat opposite. Her eyes flicked to his glass of water. "Water from Earth oceans?" she asked. Filtered 19 times, he said. Want some? I prefer something with bite. She lifted a vial and sipped silver liquid. A faint hiss escaped her teeth. A door opened. Zell, a jelly-like being in a hover jar, glided to the podium. Welcome, honored delegates, Zell burbled through speakers. Before formal talks, each primary envoy may speak. Vera rose. The Zarnathi Imperium mourns the loss of innocent life, she said, voice cold. But sorrow does not erase guilt. Evidence points toward a human device. We will not allow hidden weapons near our borders. We come seeking truth and justice. Polite applause followed. She sat. Jay stood. He let silence stretch. Earth, too, mourns, he said. We reject war. We reject fear, dressed as peace. Humanity will share every record, every sensor log. Will the Imperium do the same? He looked directly at Virea. A ripple moved through the room. Virea's eyes narrowed, but she stayed silent. Jace finished. Until proof is found. I promise one thing. No human will surrender to threats spoken or unspoken. It's not now, not ever. The hall broke into mixed applause and nervous rustles. The opening game had begun. Its delegates headed. To the main chamber, Spook murmured. 37% rise in tension. Always nice to be noticed, Jace said, fastening his jacket. He walked forward, shoulders straight, a calm smile on his face. Fear would have to wait for another day end, another fool. Ask ChatGPT. Captain Jace Ryland sat in the observation lounge of Sindar's Crown, watching ships float past the thick glass walls. Alien vessels in all shapes and colors moved like fish in a silent sea. But peace was only on the surface. Deep down, trouble was growing like fire beneath calm waters. Spook, his AI assistant, buzzed softly in his ear. Zarnathi delegation has filed a formal demand. Meeting starts in 5 minutes. The other factions are watching closely. Jace leaned back, took a deep breath, and stared at the stars. Let them watch, he said. It's showtime. Summit chamber was full when Jace walked in. Dozens of alien leaders and envoys sat in Habak chairs around a floating table. The center glowed with a soft light that changed colors depending on who spoke. The colors were calm, now green for neutral, but would turn red if arguments heated up. Ambassador Virea was already seated, her hands folded neatly in front of her. She gave Jace a slight smile, like a teacher waiting to punish a student. Hi. Mediator Zell floated to the center, its jelly-like body pulsing slowly. We begin today's session, Zell said. The Zarnathi have submitted a concern regarding humanity's Mars defense grid. Ambassador Virea, the floor is yours. Virea stood. Thank you, Mediator. Zarnathi have always valued honor and peace. But peace is only possible with honesty. She paused, letting her voice echo. Our scans show strange activity around Mars, energy spikes, weapon signals. Evidence points to the use of a cloaked defense system, one banned by treaty. Whispers rippled through the chamber. Eyes turned toward Jace. We demand full access to the Mars grid, Vieira said. Zarnathi Imperium will not allow humanity to develop weapons in secret. Jace stood slowly. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Let's be clear, he said. You claim evidence, but present no proof. Humanity has followed every treaty rule. If you have scans, share them. If not, stop accusing. Vera raised her chin. You know, we cannot reveal military scans publicly. That would endanger our fleet patterns. Jace's smile returned, sharp and cool. So no proof, just threats. The room went silent. Then Zell asked, Captain Rylan, will Earth allow a joint team to inspect Mars? Jace didn't answer right away. He touched the smooth stone in his pocket against his sister's lucky pebble. Then he said, I will ask the Earth Council. But let me be clear. If anyone tries to inspect without permission, they will meet our defenses. That drew a few murmurs. The Avori delegate flapped his bright feathers nervously. The Dracorian warrior grinned in approval. Vera's voice turned colder. Be careful, Captain. Your courage may lead your people into fire. Met her gaze. Without blinking, we've walked through fire before. We're still standing. Later, in a quiet corridor, Spook whispered urgently, I intercepted a coded burst from the Zarnathi ship. It was sent during the session. Encrypted with old war codes. Can you crack it? Jace asked, walking toward his quarters. Give me an hour, Spook replied. But from the timing, I suspect they're talking to a spy or triggering sabotage. Jace's jaw tightened. They're not just here to argue. They want to push us into a mistake. He entered his room and sat at the desk. On the table was a small photo, a group of kids from Earth's Luna colony holding up a sign that read, Good luck, Captain. Jace. He stared at it for a while. They think humans will panic, Jace said aloud. They don't understand what we've been through. 1 hour later, Spook's voice returned. Message cracked. Tell me. The Zarnathi sent a virus packet through the station's inner network. It's designed to mimic a human-made hack. In 2 hours, it will shut down part of the station's life support system. Jace's eyes widened. They're trying to make it look like we sabotaged the summit. Yes, Spook confirmed. They want to frame Earth and give the other species a reason to punish us. Jace stood and strapped on his diplomatic coat again. Then let's stop the virus before it spreads. Quietly, he left the room and made his way to the tech core below the grand hall. The halls were quiet, except for the hum of power running through the station. He used his credentials to slip past security. Inside the core, walls glowed with data. Lights flickered. Air smelled of metal and ozone. Jace opened a console and whispered, Spook, guide me. Uploading countercode now, Spook said. But be fast. They installed watchers. They catch us. The Zarnathi will claim we tampered with the station ourselves. Jace's fingers danced across the screen. His training kicked in. 10. Years in Earth's Black Ops taught him how to spot digital traps. He found the virus core disguised as a human signature and deleted it. Virus neutralized, Spook confirmed. No alerts triggered. We're in the clear, Jace stepped back and exhaled. He didn't smile this time. This was no victory. This was just the beginning. Back in the summit chamber the next morning, Birea greeted him with the same cold smile. Sleep well, Captain, she asked. Well enough, he replied. No nightmares, you. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Strange. I expected you to worry after yesterday's accusations. Jace looked around at the other delegates gathering. I sleep fine, he said, because I know something you don't. Vera tilted her head. And what's that? He leaned a little closer and said, We're better at this game than you think. Then he walked away. The summit wasn't over yet. But Jace had drawn a line, and the stars were watching. Captain Jace Ryland walked through the lower levels of Sindar's crown, far from the shining halls of the summit. Here, the lights flickered, the floors were scratched, and the air smelled of oil and coolant. This was where the workers lived, where cargo moved, where secrets hid in the shadows. Spook spoke quietly in his ear. Signal tracking complete. The virus code that nearly attacked the station's systems came from this sector. It's being sent from a hidden relay node inside Maintenance Tunnel C9. Jace moved quickly, but calmly. He wore a gray jacket instead of his usual uniform. Down here, a fancy coat marked you as a target. He blended in, just another worker heading to repair Zor, so it seemed. As he passed a broken door panel, he paused. Behind the panel, he could hear a soft hum, not mechanical, digital. He pressed 2 fingers to his ear. Spook, confirm am. I close. You're 10 meters from the relay source, Spook answered. No movement detected yet. Jace crouched and pulled a small tool from his boot. With steady hands, he opened the panel. Inside, tiny blinking lights and wires hummed like a heartbeat. At the center was a black sphere, no bigger than a fruit, covered in Zarnathi script. A stealth drone, cleverly hidden and silently deadly. Got it, Jace whispered. Zarnathi tech. Masked to look human, just like we thought. Before he could reach for it, he heard footsteps. Fast. Quiet. Trained. Spook, he asked. 3 figures, approaching light armor. Armed. One carries an energy blade. Jace slammed the panel shut and turned, moved fast, slipping into a side hall and flattening against the wall. The three figures entered the tunnel. Zarnathi. Scouts. Not here for repairs. They were checking their trap. Jace held his breath as they passed. He noted the way they walked, disciplined, like soldiers. One of them paused near the drone panel. His gloved hand touched the edge. He looked around suspiciously. Jace couldn't risk being seen. He tapped his wristband twice, and Spook sent a distraction. Lights flickered at the far end of the corridor. The sound of a falling pipe echoed loudly. The scouts turned and moved toward the noise. That was all. Hush. Jace needed. He rushed forward, reached the drone, and yanked it free. Alarms started to ping softly from the device, but Spook quickly silenced them. Jace turned and ran, moving fast through maintenance corridors, up rusted ladders, and into a quiet service lift. As the lift rose, Spook spoke. We got it. Full copy of the virus code. Logs proving it came from the Blade of Dawn. The Zarnathi warship docked to bays away. Jace wiped sweat from his brow. They tried to frame Earth, and almost got away with it. Can now prove it to the whole summit, Spook added. Just say the word. Not yet, Jace said, eyes sharp. If we show our hand now, they'll twist the story. Say we planted the drone. I need them off balance first.
Packet is private.
Quarters. Jace placed the drone inside a secure box. Then he stared out the window again. He remembered his old training commander's words. Truth wins battles. Timing wins wars. His wrist beeped. A new message appeared on his holoscreen. Private meeting invitation, Ambassador Virea. Location. Sky Garden. Jace raised an eyebrow. She's getting nervous, he said. The Sky Garden was one of the few natural places on Sindar's crown. Plants from many worlds grew here under a giant glass dome. The ceiling showed an artificial sky blue with drifting white clouds. Vera stood near a small pond watching fish swim. Her hands were behind her back. When Jace walked up, she didn't turn to look at him. I wanted a moment of honesty, she said. Away from the crowd, Jace folded his arms. It's funny, coming from someone who just tried to crash the summit. She turned slowly. You think you understand, Captain, but you don't, my people. We see what's coming. Humanity's growing. Too fast? Too unpredictable? You act without thought, without order? Jace raised an eyebrow. You mean we don't kneel when you speak? Virea's face stayed calm. You were dangerous. He stepped closer. You should be afraid. She narrowed her eyes. I am not afraid. I am prepared. We planted the seeds long ago. You may win a small moment here. The galaxy will turn against you in time. Jace leaned forward slightly. We don't need the galaxy to love us. We just need it to respect us. And if that fails, we'll survive anyway. She shook her head. You don't belong at the table, Captain. You haven't earned your place. Jace smiled again. Not cocky.com. That's the difference between us. You wait for permission. We build our own chairs and sit down anyway. They stood in silence for a long moment. Then Vera said, You plan to present that drone tomorrow? Maybe, Jace said. If you do, you risk everything. If I don't, Earth risks more. She looked at him for one long second. Then she turned and walked away, her cloak sweeping behind her like a shadow. Jace stayed a moment longer, staring at the pond. Spook, he said quietly. Get ready. Tomorrow we shake the galaxy. The lights in the Grand Council Hall dimmed as all delegates took their seats. Dozens of alien species filled the chamber, each one watching carefully. The room felt heavy like a storm about to break. Captain Jace Ryland stood near the central podium, calm and quiet. In front of him, floating on a secure platform, sat the captured Zarnathi drone. It was still lifeless, but its secret had already been copied, studied, and confirmed. Jace knew this moment was everything. Ambassador Vera walked in last, as always. She wore the same black cloak, but her posture was sharper today. Her eyes met Jace's hand for the first time. She didn't smile. High Mediator Zell floated to the center. Today, Captain Rylan of Earth has requested time to present critical information, the jelly-like being said. Captain, the floor is yours? Jace stepped forward. His voice was steady but firm. Delegates, he began. You were told Earth broke the treaty, that we built secret weapons and triggered the death of an innocent freighter crew. Today, I will show you that. The truth is exactly the opposite. He pressed a button on his wristband. A hologram floated above the drone. Code lines ran across it. Spook's calm voice echoed through the chamber. This device is a Zarnathi infiltration drone. Its programming was designed to imitate human. Code enough to frame Earth. The virus it carried would have shut down life support systems in this very station and made it look like a human attack. Gasps spread through the room. Some delegates leaned forward. Others whispered quickly to their aides. Jace continued. The drone was hidden in Maintenance Tunnel C9. Its signal came from the Blade of Dawn. The Zarnathi warship currently docked nearby. Viria stood suddenly. This is a trick, she said sharply. A human plot to turn lies into weapons. Jace turned toward her, calm but unshaken. You said we were dangerous, that we didn't deserve a seat at the table. Maybe you're right. Because when someone accuses us without proof, we don't bow, we dig. We survive, and we don't stay quiet. A silence fell over the chamber. Jace's next words were slow and heavy. You tried to start a war, Ambassador, and you almost succeeded. The High Mediator's lights blinked rapidly. Do you have independent verification of this device's origin? Yes, Jace said. Our allies on the Avori Council and the Loom Data Guild analyzed the drone. Their signatures are here? 2 delegates stood and confirmed with nods. The Loom delegate, made of shimmering crystal, spoke clearly. We confirm the device is of Zarnathi origin. The mood in the room changed instantly. Delegates who had doubted humanity now looked at Virea with suspicion. Murmurs of betrayal filled the air. Virea's expression turned icy. So, this is how humans play, she said. Digging in shadows, stirring fear, painting lies as truth. Jace took one step forward. No, this is how humans survive. We've lived on a planet that tried to kill us every day. Storms, fire, disease, hunger. We were born to fight through chaos. His voice grew stronger. Your empire fears us not because of what we've done, but because of what we might do. You saw a young species growing fast and decided to crush us before we could stand. But now you know, we are already standing. Delegates clapped quietly. Others remained still, unsure. But Jace had their attention. Vera didn't speak. She simply turned and walked out of the hall, her cloak silent behind her. An hour later, Jace stood in a side chamber, drinking water and breathing deeply. Spook's voice came through the earpiece. Diplomatic scores rising. 26 factions now favor Earth's position. 14 remain neutral. The rest are ... angry at the Zarnathi. Jace nodded. It's not victory, but it's momentum. Just then the door opened. Virea entered, alone. Her cloak was gone. She looked tired but not defeated. You surprised me, Captain, she said. I thought your kind would try to shout and break things. Jace replied, That's not how we handle peace. Only war? Vera stepped closer. Do you know why the Imperium fears you? It's not your weapons. It's not your ships. It's your will. You do not give up. He didn't answer. She continued. Other species rise slowly. We expand over centuries, but humans. You leap forward like fire, and you're impossible to predict. Jace finally spoke. So, instead of working with us, you tried to stop us. I tried to protect the balance, she said, but maybe ... the galaxy needs change. They stared at each other. For once, not as enemies, but as equals. I will be recalled, Vera said quietly. My superiors won't be pleased. They'll say, I failed. Jace stepped back. You failed because you underestimated us. She smiled softly. No, I failed because I forgot something important. Fear is not respect. She turned to leave, then paused. This isn't the end, Captain. Others will come. Not everyone will choose peace. I know, Jace said, and we'll be ready. She gave him one last look, neither warm nor cold. Then she disappeared into the corridor. That night, Jace stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. Ships drifted across space, peaceful for now. Spook spoke gently. You did well. It's not over, Jace replied. But we've earned our seat. They'll think twice before trying this again. ... A message pinged on his wrist screen. ... was from the Luna colony. His sister had sent a photo of her holding a sign, "You made us proud." Jace smiled. He looked out at the stars, his voice steady. "Let them come," he said. "We're not afraid." The summit chamber was quiet, but the silence was not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that came before something big, something loud. Every species present knew what had happened. The Zarnathi were caught. And humanity, the youngest race, at the table had exposed them. Captain Jace Ryland stood near the center of the chamber. The stolen drone, now deactivated, floated in a protective holocase behind him. On every screen, the proof had already played: the sabotage, the virus, the Zarnathi codes. Still, the Council hadn't made its final decision, and Viera, the once proud ambassador of the Zarnathi Imperium, had not yet made her final move. She entered the chamber like a shadow, calm, graceful, but with none of the pride she had worn before. Her eyes no longer held ice, they held calculation. High Mediator Zell rose from the central platform. "Delegates of the Council, we meet today for a formal judgment." Accusations were made. Evidence was shown. Now we seek resolution. Jace remained still. Every word mattered now. Viria stepped forward. "I ask for the right to respond before judgment is passed." The chamber lights flickered to indicate agreement. Virea lifted her chin. "Yes, the drone was ours. Yes, the data confirmed Zarnathi technology was used. But let me ask all of you, has Earth not risen too fast? Have they not challenged every limit, every treaty, every warning? Is it wrong to fear what might come next?" Some delegates looked uncomfortable. Others nodded slowly. Vera's voice turned sharp. "They are clever, strong, but unpredictable. They build weapons faster than they build trust. They claim peace with one hand and prepare war with the other." She pointed at Jace. "That man may have exposed us. But what happens when humans grow more powerful? When their fleets reach your borders? Will they still be so calm?" Jace stepped forward. He waited a moment, then said clearly, "She's right." The room fell silent. Jace continued, "We are fast. We are bold. We don't always follow the rules." "That's true, but we're not asking you to trust us blindly." He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with every ambassador who would meet his gaze. "We're asking you to judge us by our actions. We didn't start this. We stopped it. We didn't come here to show off. We came here to build peace. And when we were blamed, we didn't fire missiles or run. We brought proof. We followed the truth." He raised his voice just enough. "So yes, we are new. But don't confuse new with weak. Don't confuse bold with reckless. And don't ever think that because we're young, we won't fight to protect what we believe in." Soft murmurs spread. Through the chamber, Jace paused, then added, "We've made mistakes. We'll make more. But we don't hide. And we don't quit. The loom delegate, a glowing figure of crystal and light, stood slowly. I speak for the Data Guild. We support Earth's place at this table. Then the Avori ambassadors stood. The skybirds of Avora support Earth. One by one, more voices joined. The Ironborn of Dracora recognize Earth's honor. Spiral kin of Nutho stand with the humans. Even species who had doubted Earth at first now raised their flags or signs of agreement. Jace nodded once, in quiet thanks, but he knew what still remained. High Mediator Zell raised its floating body. A majority of the council supports Earth. As for the Zarnathi, Zell turned to Varia. Do you wish to make one final statement before the council? Delivers its formal response. Vera's face was unreadable. Then, to everyone's surprise, she gave a slight bow. I accept the council's judgment, she said. The drone was deployed by a shadow branch within the Imperium 1 that I no longer command. I take responsibility for my failure too. Stop it. As of this moment, I resign my post as ambassador. Gasps echoed around the hall. Even Jace blinked. She looked up, her voice still strong. Earth has proven its place. I will not be the reason more blood is spilled, Zell spoke again. Then the council rules as follows. The Zarnathi Imperium. They'll issue an apology and will pay restitution for the attempted sabotage. The Blade of Dawn must leave the station within 24 hours. Earth retains full rights and position. Soft. Applause broke out, not loud but full of meaning. Virea turned and walked toward the exit. But before she left, she paused beside Jace. You played the game well, Captain, she said quietly. He looked at her and answered, We weren't playing. We were surviving. She gave him a nod, not of defeat but of respect. Then she was gone. Later that evening, Jace returned to his quarters. For the first time in days, the station felt still. Safe. He looked out the window at the stars. Behind him, Spook's voice whispered, You did it. No, Jace said, arms crossed. We did it. Earth did it, and now the galaxy knows we. Don't fold under pressure. You turned enemies into allies, Spook said. Even the Zarnathi may change in time. Maybe, Jace replied, but peace never lasts forever. We just bought some time. His wrist screen pinged. A new message. Invitation. Earth Council Honors Ceremony. Luna Base return requested. Jace smiled. Home. He turned from the window and sat down at the table. For now, there were no alarms. No attacks. Just silence. But he knew silence never lasted. He would enjoy it just for one night. Captain Jace Ryland stood at the edge of Luna Base's great glass dome, watching Earth rise over the moon's gray horizon. The curve of the planet glowed with soft blue light, beautiful and peaceful. For the first time in weeks, he wasn't surrounded by enemies, politics, or tension. He was home. Behind him, banners waved gently in the artificial wind. The Earth Council had organized a ceremony in his honor. Soldiers, scientists, diplomats, and students from every colony had come to see the man who had defended humankind with weapons, but with truth. But Jace didn't care about speeches. He cared about the people. His sister ran up to him, holding the small white pebble he had taken to the stars. You still have it? She asked with a big smile. Jace smiled back. I told you I'd return it. She hugged him tightly. They said you saved Earth without firing a single shot. Jace chuckled. Not true, I did fire some words. Sharp ones. The ceremony began. Lights flashed. The crowd clapped. The council president gave a speech full of big words and honors. Jace accepted a medal, but his thoughts were elsewhere, because he knew this wasn't the end. Back on Cinder's crown, the massive station still floated in the stars. Repairs were underway. Security teams now scanned every tunnel, every terminal. The Zarnathi warship Blade of Dawn had left without protest, its engines dark and cold. Inside a quiet chamber, a message was being decrypted by a small group of intelligence officers. The message had been found inside the drone Jace recovered. Under many layers of code, it was not from VIR. It was from someone else. A Zarnathi commander, name unknown. The message read, "The test is complete." Humans reacted faster than expected. We must adapt our strategy. Phase 2 begins soon. The officers looked at each other, silent. The enemy hadn't given up. It only started playing a longer game. Jace was back aboard the diplomatic ship Unity, heading to Earth's Mars base. He was scheduled to meet a group of new diplomats, young recruits who wanted to follow in his footsteps. Spook spoke softly in his ear. "I intercepted something." Coded pulse was sent from the outer edge of the system. "Not Zarnathi. Unknown origin." "Could be pirates," Jace said. "No, the code was complex. Military grade. I traced the signal. It came from a small moon. Near Jupiter. A base hidden inside the ice." Jace narrowed his eyes. "Not one of ours?" "No, not human, and not Zarnathi either." Jace stood from his seat and walked to the observation deck. Stars sparkled beyond the thick glass. He tapped the panel beside him, pulling up a map of the solar system. He zoomed in on the outer regions. "We're being watched," he said. "Yes," Spook replied. "And more than one group is watching," Jace sighed. "We've barely earned our seat at the table. Now someone's already planning to flip the table over." When Unity reached Mars, Jace stood before the new diplomats. A dozen young men and women in crisp uniforms listened carefully as he spoke. "You've all heard what happened on Cinder's Crown," he said. "You think this job is about being brave, or smart, or winning arguments?" They nodded. "But the truth is," he continued, "this job is about knowing when to speak, when to wait, and when to stand up when no one else will. It's about making enemies look at you and not see fear." A hand went up. A young cadet asked, "Sir, what?" "If we're not ready for what's out there." Jace looked at the stars through the window. "We'll never be ready. Not completely. But that doesn't matter." He turned back. "Because we're human, and humans, we adapt, we learn, we fight. And we never quit." The room filled with quiet determination. One student whispered to another, "He really did stand up to the Zarnathi." Another said, "And he won." Jace smiled softly. "I didn't win alone. Earth won. All of us together." A few days later, Jace received a private message. No name. Just a symbol, the same one found inside the drone. He opened it. A simple sentence appeared. "We will meet again, human." He stared at the words for a long moment. Spook asked, "Want me to track the source?" "No," Jace said. "Let them." "Wonder if we're tracking them." He leaned back in his chair, the stars shining beyond the window. "They're not the only ones watching," he added. "Now the whole galaxy knows who we are." "Then what comes next?" Spook asked. Jace gave a small smirk. "Whatever it is, we won't be afraid."